Okay, so did you know that 79% of smartphone owners check their devices within like 15 minutes of waking up every single morning?
Wow, that's high.
It is, and maybe even more startling, a full third of Americans would apparently rather give up sex than lose their cell phones.
Seriously, that's quite a statistic.
Right. It's pretty clear you, like so many of us, are absolutely hooked.
Yeah, hooked feels like the right word.
So, today on the deep dive, our mission really is to unpack the psychology behind why we're so drawn to certain products. And maybe more importantly, how companies are intentionally designing them to build these habits.
These really powerful habits in our lives.
Exactly. And our main source for this is the book Hooked: How to Build Habit-Forming Products by Nir Eyal. It's, well, it's basically a blueprint for understanding what makes some things just indispensable. Quite an eye-opener.
It really is. And, when we talk about habits, cognitive psychologists define them as these automatic behaviors triggered by situational cues.
Things we do without thinking.
Exactly. Little to no conscious thought. And the products we use like this, they're engineered, often very precisely, to change our everyday behavior. For a lot of companies, building these user habits isn't just a nice to have, it's actually essential for their survival, for their economic value.
That makes total sense. It brings us to this concept Eyal talks about, first to mind wins.
Ah, yeah.
Basically, these habit-forming companies, they link their services so tightly to our routines, our emotions, that, you feel a bit bored. Boom, you open Twitter.
Instinctively.
Right. Or lonely. You're scrolling Facebook before you even know why. Got a question. Straight to Google. The first thing you think of just wins.
It absolutely does. And Nir Eyal, he didn't just pull this out of thin air. His journey started around 2008. Stanford MBA.
Right.
He was looking into how companies were using, well, what he called mind manipulation in online social games, which were booming then.
Yeah.
And he started seeing patterns, drawing on consumer psychology, behavioral economics, all that research, and distilled it into the hook model.
So it's not just theory.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
It's grounded in research and, real-world observation.
And that hook model, that's exactly what we're going to explore today. It's got 4 phases: trigger, action, variable reward, and investment.
The complete cycle.
Yeah, it explains how these super successful products get us coming back again and again without needing constant, expensive advertising. Pretty ingenious stuff.
It really is.
Okay, so let's unpack this first phase then. The trigger. This is the actuator, right? The initial spark. What exactly is a trigger in this context?
Well, triggers basically come in 2 main flavors,
Mm-hmm.
external and internal.
Okay.
External triggers are the sensory stuff in our environment. They have a call to action, either obvious or kind of subtle. Think of like a Coca-Cola vending machine literally asking thirsty,
Mm-hmm.
or a big log in to Mint button in an email.
Or just an app icon, right?
Exactly. An app icon, a website link. The whole point is to make the next action require less thinking. Just click here. And within those external ones, there are 4 kinds. First, you've got paid triggers. Advertising, search ads, stuff like that. They're good for getting new users in the door, but not so great for keeping them coming back long term.
Right. Acquisition versus retention.
Precisely. Then there are earned triggers. This is like good press, viral videos, getting featured in the App Store. You can't buy them directly.
Effective, but maybe unpredictable.
Yeah, effective, but often short-lived. Can't rely on them. Third is relationship triggers. Word of mouth, referrals, social shares. Think about PayPal's early growth. They basically paid people to refer friends, to send money. It went viral.
Ah, okay. But there's a line there, isn't there, between genuine enthusiasm and, like, tricking people?
Absolutely. That's the whole dark patterns debate. You want real enthusiasm, not just clever tricks.
Makes sense.
And finally, maybe the most important for habit building, our own triggers. These are things that take up real estate in the user's world. App icons, email newsletters, notifications.
Things you have to opt into.
Exactly. You need permission.
Yeah.
But once you have it, they're crucial for that frequent repeat engagement. They keep nudging you back until the habit forms without constantly chasing new triggers.
Okay, so external triggers get you started, but you said there are internal ones too.
Yes, and these are what ultimately keep users hooked. Internal triggers. They just pop into your head automatically. They're tied to a thought, an emotion, maybe a routine you already have.
Like feeling bored.
Exactly.
Mm.
Often it's negative emotions: boredom, loneliness, frustration, confusion, even fear. Eyal mentions a user, Yin, who uses Instagram when she feels anxious about, like, losing a special moment if she doesn't capture it.
The product becomes the solution to that negative feeling, the itch it scratches.
Perfectly put.
Mhm.
But positive emotions can work too, like a need for connection or just wanting to, satisfy curiosity.
That's fascinating. It feels so personal, though. How do designers figure out our internal triggers, those subtle emotional things?
That's the million-dollar question, right? It
Yeah.
requires deep work. One technique is the 5 whys method, borrowed from Toyota, actually.
How does that work?
You just keep asking why to drill down to the root emotion.
Yeah.
So why does Julie use email to send messages? Why? To share info fast? Why? To know what's going on? Why? To know if someone needs her? Why?
Because she's afraid of being left out.
Bingo. Fear of being out of the loop. That's the core internal trigger. User narratives are another way if they're listening. Jack Dorsey talks about writing stories from the user's view to really get their emotions in context.
But people don't always know why they do things, right? Or they say one thing and do another.
That's the challenge. Declared preferences versus revealed preferences, what people say versus what they do. The real goal is always to understand the user's underlying pain, their unmet need.
Okay, so the trigger sparks it. Then comes the action, the actual behavior. And the key here is simplicity, you said. Doing needs to be easier than thinking.
Absolutely critical, because habits, by definition, are low effort. Dr. B.J. Fogg at Stanford has this great model, B-M-A-T.
Behavior equals motivation, ability, trigger.
You got it. If any one of those is weak or missing, the behavior just won't happen. Think about not answering your phone.
Okay.
Maybe it was buried in your bag, low ability. Or you thought it was a spam call, low motivation. Or the ringer was off, no trigger. You need all three.
Right. Okay.
So let's break down motivation and ability. Motivation is your desire to act. Fogg points to 3 core motivators. Seeking pleasure, avoiding pain.
Like a yummy burger ad.
Exactly. Seeking hope, avoiding fear.
Obama's poster, or maybe a scary safety ad.
Perfect. And seeking social acceptance, avoiding rejection.
Like ads showing happy groups using a product. Budweiser comes to mind.
Spot on. Advertisers play these motivational strings constantly.
Okay, so that's motivation. What about ability? Making it easy.
Ability is just how easy it is to do the thing. There's this principle from Dennis Hoptley. Understand the steps, then start removing them. Simplify.
Like how posting online got easier from complicated websites.
To Blogger, then Twitter's short messages, then Instagram's quick snaps. Each step lowered the barrier, increased the ability for more people to do it.
Makes sense.
And Fogg breaks down simplicity into 6 elements: time, money, physical effort, brain cycles, mental effort, social deviance, how weird it looks, and non-routineness, how much it breaks your flow.
So designers should figure out what's scarcest for the user then.
Exactly. Is it time, money, mental energy? Focus on making that part easier.
Can you give some examples?
Sure. Think Facebook login, it removed the whole registration hassle. Twitter's embed button, one click to share. Google's super simple search page, minimal brain cycles. iPhone's camera shortcut. Pinterest's infinite scroll, just effortless browsing.
Got it. So if you're trying to change behavior, which lever do you pull first? Motivation or ability?
That's a really key strategic point.
Hmm.
While you need all 3 in BMAP, Fogg argues, and Eyal agrees, that increasing ability making things easier usually gives a better return, especially for tech products.
Easier is better than more motivating.
Often, yes. Look at Twitter's early homepage. It was cluttered, trying hard to motivate you, explaining all its benefits.
I remember that. A bit confusing.
Right. They learned it was much more effective to just simplify the sign-up and make it super easy to follow people focusing on ability. That got users engaged much faster than trying to convince them first.
Yeah.
Make it effortless.
Wow. It's almost like there are hidden buttons being pushed too, these mental shortcuts, heuristics.
Or absolutely. They play a huge role in the action phase, like the scarcity effect.
Things seem more valuable if there aren't many left.
Exactly. The cookie jar study proves that.
Yeah.
Amazon's only 3 left in stock.
Yeah.
Classic scarcity. Then there's the framing effect. Context totally changes how we see things.
Like the fancy violinist playing in the subway.
Perfect example.
Yeah.
Joshua Bell. Ignored in the subway, sells out concert halls. Same music, different frame. Wine tasting studies show the same paper. A higher price tag literally makes wine taste better to people.
Crazy. What else?
The anchoring effect. We latch onto the first piece of info. Like seeing a high original price makes the sale price seem way better, even if it's still kind of high.
I fall for that all the time.
We all do. And finally, the endowed progress effect. We get more motivated as we feel we're getting closer to a goal.
Like those coffee shop punch cards.
Especially if they give you a couple of free punches to start. LinkedIn's profile completion bar is masterful at this. It creates this urge to finish.
Okay, so trigger sparks it, easy action follows. Now we get to the juicy part, right? Variable reward. This is the engine.
This is absolutely the core, the heart of the hook model. Variable reward. It's what creates the craving, the desire to come back.
And it's about anticipation.
Precisely. The neuroscience is fascinating here. There's a part of the brain, the nucleus accumbens, that lights up like crazy, not when you get the reward, but in anticipation of it. This floods your brain with dopamine. And dopamine isn't just about pleasure. It focuses attention, drives seeking behavior, and actually shuts down parts of the brain involved in judgment.
So you're just focused on getting the reward.
Totally. Reason goes out the window for a moment, and predictability kills this. Your fridge light always comes on boring. No craving.
But if something different was in there each time.
Exactly. Surprise, intrigue, like a baby seeing a dog for the first time. B.F. Skinner showed this with his pigeons. Give them rewards unpredictably, intermittently, and they'll pick that lever like crazy. Variability is the magic ingredient.
Okay, so what kinds of variable rewards do products use?
Eyal breaks it down into three main types. Rewards of the tribe, rewards of the hunt, and rewards of the self.
Tribe, hunt, self. Okay, tribe first. Social stuff.
Yep. Rewards of the tribe. Driven by our fundamental need to connect, belong, feel accepted, important. Think likes and comments on Facebook. Upvotes and badges on Stack Overflow. Even points for good sportsmanship in games like League of Legends. It taps into social learning. We see others getting rewarded. We want that too.
Makes sense. We're social creatures. What about hunt?
Rewards of the hunt. This taps into our primal drive to acquire things, resources, information.
Like slot machines.
Classic example. The variable reward is money. Or think about your Twitter feed. It's an endless hunt for the next interesting tweet, the next bit of information.
Or Pinterest, the infinite scroll.
Exactly. Infinite scroll. Those images cut off just enough to make you want to see more. It keeps you hunting. It's like our ancestors hunting for food. Persistence pays off with unpredictable rewards.
Wow, persistence hunting. That really clicks. I feel that when I'm scrolling sometimes. Okay, last one. Self.
Rewards of the self. These are about intrinsic gratification, mastery, competence, completion, control.
Like leveling up in a video game.
Perfect. Leveling up, unlocking skills in World of Warcraft. That feeling of inbox zero in an email app like Mailbox. Or using Codecademy, you get immediate feedback, see your progress, feel yourself getting better at coding. It feels good to master things.
Okay, tribe, hunt, self. Powerful stuff. But, surely it's not foolproof. Can designers mess this up? Seems almost too effective.
Great point. They're definitely not a magic bullet, and yes, they can be misused or misapplied. First off, rewards aren't a free pass. They have to actually satisfy the user's need, align with their internal trigger.
Right.
Remember Mahalo, the Q&A site that paid users? It failed because people weren't there for money. Quora succeeded with social recognition because that was the underlying need. Gamification just for show. It falls flat.
People see through it.
They do. Also, you absolutely have to maintain autonomy. Users need to feel in control. Quora messed up when they automatically turned on that views feature showing browsing history. Huge backlash.
Because it felt like they lost control.
Exactly. There's research showing that even just adding, but you are free to accept or refuse, makes people much more likely to agree to something. We resist feeling forced. Think MyFitnessPal. For some, it felt like a chore, whereas Photocracy tapped into social desires, making it feel voluntary, fun.
Don't take away my choice.
Right. And another big one. Beware of finite variability. Experiences that become predictable lose their hook.
Like a TV show ending.
Exactly. Breaking Bad was amazing. But once you know the ending, the variability is gone.
Yeah.
Zynga's Farmville games eventually felt rote and boring because the patterns became obvious. These need constant new content, which is hard.
So what's the alternative?
Infinite variability. Products where the variability keeps coming, usually because users themselves generate it.
Like YouTube, Facebook.
Precisely.
Yeah.
Or multiplayer games like World of Warcraft. There's always new content, new interactions, new surprises generated by the community itself. It's self-sustaining.
And some products mix all three reward types.
Oh, yeah. Email is a great example. Tribe, we send it. Hunt, what's inside.
Yeah.
Self, inbox zero. It hits all the notes.
Okay, this is really painting a picture. Trigger, action, variable reward.
Yeah.
What's the last phase? Investment.
Yes, investment. This is where you, the user, do a little bit of work. And that work makes the product more valuable to you over time, increasing the chances you'll come back.
So it's not about immediate reward like the action phase?
Right. Investment is about anticipating longer-term rewards. It actually changes how you feel about the product, makes it feel more useful, more yours. It locks you into the habit zone.
Like building something.
Kind of. Think of the IKEA effect. We irrationally overvalue things we put effort into building, even if it's just crappy origami or flat-pack furniture. Labor leads to love, apparently.
Ah, interesting.
We also crave consistency. We want our actions to align with our past behavior. Remember the study with yard signs. A small sign, first, makes people way more likely to agree to a huge, ugly one later. Small commitments lead to bigger ones.
The foot in the door thing.
Exactly. And we hate cognitive dissonance, that uncomfortable feeling when our beliefs and actions don't match. So we change our beliefs. The fox decides the grapes were sour anyway. We acquire tastes for beer or spicy food to justify trying them. Users do this too. They rationalize the time or money spent on products they invested in, like Mafia Wars players spending real cash to protect virtual turf they've invested, so it must be valuable.
So what kind of work or stored value are we talking about here? What do users invest?
It comes in several forms, all making the product better with use. One is content, adding songs to iTunes, photos to Facebook, tweets to Twitter. Your library, your timeline, it becomes uniquely yours.
More valuable to you than anyone else.
Right. Another is data. Filling out your LinkedIn profile, that's investing data. Categorizing expenses in Mint. The more data you put in, the more personalized and useful the service becomes.
Okay, content, data.
Followers. On Twitter or Instagram, curating who you follow, gaining your own followers, that's social capital. It makes switching platforms really hard.
You'd lose your network.
Exactly. Then reputation. Building good ratings on eBay, Yelp, Airbnb. Your reputation is a tangible asset tied to that platform. And finally, skill. Learning complex software like Photoshop. The effort you invest in learning makes you stick with it.
Because starting over elsewhere is too painful.
Precisely. That learned skill is a powerful investment.
So these investments make the product stickier. How do they also load the next trigger? Keep the cycle going.
Ah, that's the really clever part. Investments set up future triggers, often external ones.
How so?
Okay, Any.do, the task app, you invest by connecting your calendar, then bam, after a meeting, it sends a notification, an external trigger, prompting you to add a follow-up task.
Ah, using your investment to prompt you.
Right. Tinder, you invest by swiping. That leads to matches, which trigger notifications for potential chats. Snapchat. Sending a photo is an investment that implicitly asks for a reply, triggering back and forth.
It creates an expectation.
It does. Pinterest. Every pin, comment, like you invest gives Pinterest data to tailor your feed and permission to send notifications about activity, more triggers pulling you back in. Your actions fuel the next cycle.
Wow. It's a really complete loop. Trigger, action, variable reward, investment, leading back to the next
It's a
trigger.
powerful engine for building habits.
Okay, we've seen the model. We have to talk about the ethics, though. Designing for habit formation. I mean, isn't that just manipulation?
That's the elephant in the room, isn't it? And yes, fundamentally, it is a form of manipulation, changing behavior. But manipulation itself isn't automatically bad.
Like helping someone exercise more.
Exactly. Weight Watchers helps people form healthier habits. That's manipulation, but for a good purpose. The crucial thing is the intent behind it.
So how do you judge the intent?
Eyal offers a tool called the Manipulation Matrix. It asks two simple questions. One, would I use the product myself? Two, will the product help users materially improve their lives?
Okay, 4 possibilities then.
Right. Best case. The facilitator. You answer yes to both. You use it, you believe it helps. This is where you have the best shot at success because you understand the user deeply and you have a clear conscience. Think Nuru International helping farmers, or maybe the original visionaries behind Facebook or Twitter believing they were connecting the world.
But even they have a responsibility, right? If people get addicted.
Absolutely. Facilitators need to consider potential downsides and help users who develop unhealthy attachments. Then there's the peddler.
You wouldn't use it, but you think it helps others. No.
Yes,
Yeah.
correct. These often fail because there's lack of empathy. Trying to gamify boring tasks nobody really wants, maybe some misguided ad campaigns, you don't really get the user.
Okay. Next.
The entertainer, you use it, but you don't claim it improves lives. Yes?
No. Movies, games.
Exactly. Its art, entertainment can be huge, but often relies on that finite variability we talked about. Breaking Bad, Farmville. It's a hits business.
Yeah.
Fleeting.
And the last one sounds bad.
The dealer. You answer no to both questions. You wouldn't use it. You don't think it helps. This is pure exploitation. Casinos. Drug dealers. Eyal even puts the satirical game Cow Clicker here, as it hooked people despite being designed to mock addiction. Lowest chance of long-term success. Ethically, very shaky.
That matrix is really clarifying, a good gut check for anyone building
Oh,
something.
definitely.
So thinking about facilitators, let's look at a real-world example of the hook model used for, well, arguably good ends.
A great one is the Bible app by YouVersion.
Yeah.
It's huge,
Yeah.
right? Downloaded hundreds of millions of times.
Massive.
And the founder, Bobby Grunewald, wasn't just aiming to build a reader. He wanted to help people build the habit of daily Bible reading.
Mission-driven, but using these techniques.
Absolutely. They married consumer psychology with data analytics very effectively. Let's look at the hooks. Triggers. The mobile app itself is way more present than a desktop site. Daily notifications are key owned triggers. They even did an experiment sending Merry Christmas. People felt God was talking to them. Community emails, preachers saying open YouVersion, lots of triggers.
Okay, what about action? Making reading easy.
Huge focus here. They chunk the Bible into daily reading plans, makes it less daunting. Audio versions help. And famously, they use data to reorder plans, putting more engaging parts first to boost completion rates, making the action simpler.
Clever. Variable reward. How does that work with Scripture?
Several ways. There's the core reward of connection to Scripture, finding wisdom, that's rewards of the self, the mystery of what tomorrow's passage holds, simple things like day complete. Messages give that endowed progress buzz.
And social.
Big time. Sharing verses allows for social connection, maybe a bit of humble bragging, which taps into rewards of the tribe. Intrinsic satisfaction, too,
Okay, and investment. How do you invest in a digital Bible?
by highlighting verses, adding notes, bookmarking passages. You're creating stored value. It becomes your personalized Bible, like dog-earing a physical copy.
Makes it harder to switch apps later.
Much harder. And those investments load the next trigger. If someone comments on your shared verse, you get a notification pulling you back in. It's a beautifully executed hook loop, all aimed at facilitating a specific habit.
That's a really compelling example. So, okay, we've gone through the model, seen it in action. How can you, listening now, actually use this, maybe for your own product, or even just understanding your own habits?
Well, if you're building something, you can use a process EL calls habit testing. It's iterative, about refining.
How does it work?
3 steps. Step 1. Identify who your habitual users already are. Define what devoted looks like for your product. Twitter found users who followed 30 people stuck around. Aim for maybe 5% reaching that devoted level as a start.
Find your super users.
Exactly. Step 2. Codify their habit path. What sequence of actions did these loyal users take early on? Dig into the data, find the common path.
Map their journey.
Right. Then step 3. Modify your product. Guide new users down that same path. Make it easier, clearer, and it's a cycle.
Yeah.
Build, measure, learn, modify again. Constant iteration.
Identify, codify, modify. Got it. But what if you're starting from scratch? Where do new habit-forming ideas even come from? Feels like everything exists.
It can feel that way. But Elon suggests 4 areas ripe with opportunity. First, look in the mirror. Solve your own problems.
Scratch your own itch.
Exactly. Paul Graham at Y Combinator always says, ask, what problem do I wish someone would solve for me? Joel Gascoigne built Buffer because he was frustrated scheduling tweets. You understand the user because you are the user.
Makes sense. What else?
Look for nascent behaviors. Things only early adopters or niche groups are doing now, but that might go mainstream.
Like, stuff that seems like a toy at first.
Perfect example. The first cameras, the telephone dismissed initially. Facebook started just at Harvard. These vitamins can become essential painkillers once the habit forms. Keep an eye on weird little behaviors.
Okay, own problems, nascent behaviors.
Enabling technologies. Big shifts in tech create new possibilities. The internet itself, faster broadband, mobile phones, they all enable new habits. What new tech makes cycling through the hook faster, easier, more rewarding?
What's changing under the hood?
Right. And fourth, interface change. How we interact with tech. Graphical interfaces changed everything. Google's simple search bar, smartphones with cameras enabling Instagram. What's next? Wearables. VR Paul Buchheit says, live in the future. Anticipate how these new interfaces will change behavior and create opportunities for new hooks.
Look in the mirror. Nascent behaviors, enabling tech, interface change. Lots to think about there.
Definitely fertile ground.
So wrapping this up, this deep dive into the hook model, it really shows that the products grabbing our attention aren't just accidents. There's real design, real psychology at play. Makes you look at your phone differently, doesn't it?
It absolutely does. And that power, the ability to build persuasive, habit-forming products, it's significant. We're all swimming in these technologies that shape us constantly. So the question isn't just, can a product hook you, or can you build a hook? It's also, should you?
Right. Understanding these mechanisms empowers you, though. As a user, you can be more aware of how things are influencing you. And if you're a creator, you can use that manipulation matrix. Make sure you're building something you believe in, something genuinely helpful.
Absolutely. So maybe next time you find yourself just compulsively checking your feed or opening an app without really deciding to pause for a second, ask yourself, what was the trigger? What was this super simple action I just took? What unpredictable reward was I hoping for? And what little investment am I making right now that'll probably bring me back later?
Becoming aware of the hook in action.
Exactly. This knowledge is a kind of superpower.
The question is, how will you use it?